This account was sent to our channel by someone who asked to remain anonymous. The experience you're about to hear changed this person's life forever, and to this day, they're still trying to understand what really happened. Before we begin, like and follow the channel so you don't miss the upcoming stories, which, for national security reasons, may be taken down at any time. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that, for almost 10 years, I worked in an intelligence analysis division in the United States. I was always skeptical about alien abduction stories or anything of the sort. In my mind, it all boiled down to mass hysteria, cheap fiction, and a lack of real evidence. Until one day everything changed. It was in 2011. I was working in what we called the Gray Room, a section of the CIA that specialized in sorting through documents considered to have no immediate strategic importance, but were still classified for some reason. These were old reports, often confusing, written by field agents, military personnel, and even civilians. A real storage room for weird stuff. One of those documents caught my eye. The title was vague. Incident in Sector 7G Restricted File. The date was 1977. And the strangest part, there was no clear sender, no exact location. Just coordinates, which I later discovered pointed to the Nevada desert. At first, I thought it was just another delusion like so many others, but as I flipped through the file, I started to get chills. There were drawings, descriptions of beings with long black eyes, accounts from people who claimed they had lost hours of their lives with no explanation, and a memo signed by a senior agent that read, "These entities do not respond to any known communication protocol. Their presence is intermittent but intelligent. The priority is to silence witnesses and erase all traces." The word entities was what got to me the most. I had read plenty about UFO sightings, but always through a skeptical lens. This report didn't feel sensationalist. It was cold, technical, and far too real. I couldn't stop there. I spent days digging through the files, and every new document reinforced the idea that there was way more going on than the public had any idea about. Testimonies from Air Force pilots, audio recordings with unidentifiable sounds, and frequent mentions of interference in time and space. But the most terrifying part was the video. A short clip, less than 2 minutes long, with no audio. It showed a creature. Something bipedal, slender, with gray skin and jittery movements, like it was out of sync with reality. And it was inside a military base. Inside. As if it had entered, or, worse, been brought in. After that day, my life was never the same. That night, after watching that video, I left the agency as if nothing had happened. But inside, everything was different. I had seen something I was never supposed to see. And worse, I realized someone knew I had seen it. The next day, my badge started malfunctioning. A system error, they told me. I suddenly had limited access to certain areas, and even my email was temporarily disabled for a security check. All way too convenient, considering this happened less than 24 hours after I accessed that report. I started to feel like I was being watched. 2 different cars began parking near my building for no apparent reason. When I left work, I would catch glimpses of figures reflected in the dark glass of neighboring buildings, and a heavy, sick feeling of being followed clung to me like a weight in my gut. But nothing prepared me for what happened the following week. I found an envelope slipped under the door of my apartment. No return address. Inside, just a single sheet of paper with a handwritten message. "You've seen too much. Stop now." I swear my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper. The handwriting was steady and the tone was blunt. It wasn't a warning. It was a threat. But I'm stubborn. And something inside me, maybe fear, maybe curiosity, pushed me to go back to the agency, even if it was for the last time. I came in as a visitor, with a temporary clearance, claiming I had forgotten a document in my old department. I managed to get limited access to a terminal and typed in the code for the file I had seen before. Nothing. The report no longer existed in the system. No video. No mention of Sector 7G. It was as if it had all been erased. That crushed me. But it also confirmed everything. It was real. I started obsessively researching similar stories. That's when I discovered that other former agents, military personnel, and even contractors had mysteriously disappeared after reporting similar experiences. UFO sightings, alien encounters, and extraterrestrial activity in secret US bases. They all had one thing in common. They were silenced. The idea that this was all part of a massive disinformation operation started to take shape in my mind. And the more I connected the dots, the clearer it became that the CIA knew, and still knows, far more than it lets on. I began having nightmares, always the same image. That being from the video, standing still, watching me with deep black eyes, as if it could see every one of my thoughts. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, and throughout the day, flashes of the creature would invade my vision like some sort of visual trauma. I wasn't just scared. I was being consumed by something I couldn't even name. And the worst part was that I couldn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? And if someone did, would it be safe for them? Before I continue, if you've made it this far, it's because you feel there's something different about this story. So follow our channel so you don't miss the upcoming accounts, which, for national security reasons, may be taken down at any time. A few days after receiving the threatening note, I started hearing sounds at night. They weren't normal noises like footsteps in the hallway or pipes rattling. These were deep, distorted sounds that felt like they were coming from inside my own head. Like some frequency was trying to break through the silence. I even got a hearing test. The doctor said I was in perfect health but suggested I see a psychologist. I just smiled, thanked him, and left. How could I explain that the sounds felt intelligent? That sometimes I heard whispers in a language my brain didn't understand, but somehow I felt like it made sense? I started recording my dreams. Almost every night, I'd be transported to a white space with no walls. Floating in the void, trapped, and surrounded by silhouettes. They would come closer and just stare at me. Their eyes were large, pupilless, and there was this sensation of being scanned, like every thought, every trauma, was being pulled out of me. When I woke up, my whole body ached. One day, while reviewing one of the recordings I left running overnight, I captured something that made me stop breathing for a few seconds. A voice, whispering in English, clearly saying, "You were not supposed to see that." I was so nervous I threw up. I started leaving the radio on in my apartment to mask the silence. Kept all the lights on. I even slept with a knife under my pillow like that would make any difference. Paranoia became my new normal. That's when I got another contact. This time, from someone on the inside. It was a former colleague from the agency, someone I had trusted. He showed up unannounced at my building, visibly shaken. Sweating, wide-eyed, he pulled me into his car and started talking non-stop. He said he had found evidence that many of the files related to Sector 7G had been transferred to an underground facility in Alaska, one that doesn't officially exist in government records. He also said that the creature from the video wasn't the only one. There were others, and they were still here. According to him, some of these entities were being held in containment, but there had been incidents, power failures, records showing that a few would disappear 4 days, only to reappear inside highly restricted areas, as if they had the ability to pass through solid matter. That's when he showed me something that made my blood run cold, a thin, circular scar on his forearm. He said he woke up with it. No pain, no memory, and ever since, he had started experiencing time lapses. Lost hours, complete blackouts, and vivid dreams of blue lights and metallic instruments surrounding his body. I looked at my own arm, and I realized I had the same mark. Since that day, nothing was ever the same. My former colleague disappeared a week later. Just vanished. No exit records, no banking activity, no security footage. When I tried reaching out to his family, they all said the same thing. We can't talk about it. I went into hiding. Moved to a different city, changed my name, completely disconnected from the internet for months. Still, I never found peace. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of static echoing through the house, even though all the electronics are turned off. Once, my TV turned on by itself at 3 a.m., displaying a completely white screen with a sequence of numbers that disappeared after a few seconds. I wrote down the numbers, spent days researching them. I found only one result: coordinates. Again, in Alaska. The mark on my arm is still there. It hasn't changed, it doesn't hurt, but it's never gone away. Sometimes it itches like something under the skin is moving, trying to get out. I know how insane this must sound. Believe me, if someone had told me this story before any of it happened, I would have been the first to laugh. But now, I'm what's left of a truth buried beneath decades of silence and fear. And the worst part? I still don't know what they want. These entities, if I can even call them that, don't behave like invaders or protectors. They just are. They watch. They study. And when they decide to act, they do it with a level of precision far beyond human understanding. It's as if our existence is an experiment, a file, like the one I saw and they tried to erase. Today, my biggest question isn't whether they're here. I know they are. The question that haunts me, day and night, is, what if they've always been here? What if all these stories of alien encounters, abductions, and extraterrestrial experiences we've been hearing for decades are actually fragments of a reality the government is desperately trying to keep hidden? The CIA, the US government, even private organizations. They all seem like just a smoke screen for something much bigger, older, and deeply rooted in human history. And once you realize that, there's no going back. My life was destroyed by a 2-minute video. Now, all I can do is try to leave this record behind. Maybe I'll disappear after publishing this. Maybe this message won't even reach the public. But if you're hearing this, if you're still here, it means that, for now, they haven't silenced us yet. Even now, this person is still afraid to talk about what happened. Was it something from this world, or far beyond what we can imagine? What do you think? Leave your comment. And if you believe these stories need to be heard before they disappear, like and share this video. Your support is essential.